Let it play. Let it play.
Hold on. There we go.
Welcome back.
Hey.
Hey.
Dreams were your
Let it play. Let it play.
welcome back to that same old
Oh, what a great song.
Well, the memories have all changed.
I was gonna put the Mace remake on, but
The Mace remake.
yeah, Mace.
What
You
is-
remember the rapper Mace?
Yeah.
He did
Welcome
the-
back to season 2 of the Demand Better podcast.
Hey, this is awkward. We're wearing the same thing. We're wearing
We
the.
are wearing the same thing, and it's always kind of awkward right now when I'm with you, buddy boy. Let me see. I'm trying to pull this up. Where are we at? We're
I
having a
got
little
it ready to
technical-
go, man. Let's talk. Let's roll.
Welcome back. Let's go. Welcome back to Demand Better Podcast Season 2. We are your consumer's guide in the fitness and wellness space. We are sponsored by FitCat Physiotherapy, where the emphasis is to focus on your fitness so you can avoid the healthcare space. My name is Corona, and I'm coming to you from the concrete jungle, New York City, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Bo Babenko. Let me see if I can get it right. Who's coming from Erie, Colorado? What's up, Bo?
What up? Just adapt into 7-month-old baby. 7-month-old baby kind of changes things. But we're back. We are back, and you had big changes going on too. You want to share with the folks?
Yeah, well, we expanded, so I'm in my office now, which is great. Girl moved in, a bunch of stuff going on, but everything's good. But that's not really what the topic is all about. Today's topic. I mean, so we've been off for a bit, and we couldn't be happy to be back with all of you. Just a reminder, we will be having a new pod every 2 weeks, and I'm so super excited about this year. We've already had Will Wright talk about his struggles and mental health. We've had Man on Fire, David Mailer, and we have so much more coming for you. But today, we're coming back strong. Today's topic is top 10 behaviors today to feel better tomorrow. Kick it off, Bo.
Let's jump right into it. And we were thinking through all these different things we want to do. And we said, hey, let's just provide value. We want people to be able to listen to this episode, say, here's a list, a checklist of things I should be doing. And if I'm not doing it, can I get it done today? And all 10 of these you should be able to do as soon as you are done listening to this. You could pause it at any point. You could email us, contact us, say, hey, give me more information on this. Or let's go to the first one, drink more water. It's simple. I'm drinking my sparkling Kirkland brand, nice and cheap. This is grapefruit, like it. No La Croix for me. I don't need the La Croix. I do have a StreamYard's what we're recording on. SodaStream, and I'm too lazy to use that thing. So again, having a 7-month-old baby, brain not working so well. What is our rule for drinking water, Corona? What is your number one way to tell people how much water to drink?
We should drink half your body weight in ounces.
All right. So what does that translate to? If you weigh 200 pounds,
100 ounces.
That is 100 ounces a day. That's pretty straightforward. A lot of other variables here. We don't want to overcomplicate these. We want to make it simple. So the only other caveat I'm going to throw in there is check the color of your urine. And it needs to be light yellow. Some people say amber. Amber is the color of your energy. If anyone knows that reference, you know that reference? You know what song that is? What band? 311. You remember 311?
No, I'm too young for that.
You're too young for that.
You
were never cool enough for 311.
No, I was never cool enough. No.
Anyway, so amber, check the color of your pee. It should be light yellow. If not, if it's clear, that actually can mean you're overhydrated. We have a link for electrolytes, which is another part of hydrating. But in terms of behaviors, most people just don't drink enough water. It's an easy behavior to do. It's something you can do today to change your health, and you will feel better. And it's an easy first step. And I always like the cliche, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So we're moving on. Speaking of journeys of 1,000 miles, moving on to number 2. You want to throw it out there?
Exercise. Listen, people, you got to move. Come on now. We all know this. Listen, as life gets easier for all of us, we do less. and the body is meant to move. So we have a little recommendation here. It's the it's the American Health Association. No, the American Heart Association. Heart Association recommends 30 minutes of cardiovascular activity, I think 4 times a week.
At moderate intensity is what they say. We might be a little bit off on the exact verbiage there, but that's okay. The point is, that's a general concept. But the other way to say it is my thought is move more. So whatever you're doing now, don't worry about 30 minutes and how am I going to squeeze that in. Again, I have a 7-month-old. If I can get another walk in, that's the thing. So here's your takeaway, again, to our top 10 behaviors. The behavior is, this is number 2. Behavior number 2. Number 1 is drink half of your body weight in ounces. And again, just drink more water. Get your pee clearer. That's how we know we're moving in that direction. Number 2 here is a 10-minute walk. If you cannot walk, we can talk about that. But most of you guys listening here should be able to walk. We're not trying to be ableist, anyone in a wheelchair. Get out and move. But 10 minutes, get the body moving. That's going to help your metabolism, help your digestion. We're not even saying necessarily eat the right thing. But whatever you eat after the meal, do 10 minutes of movement. Easy enough, just walk. We have a dog. As soon as I finish eating, I'm going to take the dog for a walk. 10 minutes. 10 minutes of walking after, ideally, every meal. If you want to start with one meal, I'll take that. Let's start getting things moving in the right direction. So, again, somebody could be an Olympic athlete. I still want them doing this. I still want them moving. Movement is medicine. Muscle is the organ of longevity. We got all our fun sayings, but move more. The only other thing I'm going to throw in before I stop rambling and let Corona introduce number 3 is move better. So walking, there are ways to move better, and there's a few ways we're going to talk about that, but move more, move better is always something to keep an eye on. But we're going to start with move more. Let's go to number 3.
And before we move on to number 3, listen, as you get older, just real quick, as you get older, I will say this to you. You see a lot of people that are older in the older generation, and they don't move well, and they sit too much. And we got to get them to move. You should check the edition we did on seniors, because that will attack it. Number 3, I know everybody kind of looks it over and says, not so important. Prioritize your sleep. Recovery is very, very, very important.
Yeah, a cool stat I'll throw at you guys is when you sleep deep enough, you're releasing human growth hormone. That's what allows us to feel good and recovered in the morning. What is human growth hormone? It's the equivalent of taking steroids for free without all the negative side effects. It is how we grow. It is why babies sleep, and I'm seeing that hopefully every day pretty well, is why babies sleep a significant amount of hours through the day so they can grow. So the more we can prioritize that, the more we're going to push back and delay this whole aging process, which is, again, what all of this is. Here's our 2, 1A, 1B ways we can improve or prioritize our sleep today. Number 1 is find a way to track it. I use the Whoop, and I should put a link for my Whoop link, referral code, all that good stuff. I get a free month if you guys sign up with my link. I'm not gonna, I'm not a salesman, but it's something we're gonna do. So bottom line is track your sleep. It doesn't have to be the Whoop. There's Oura Rings, there's Apple Watches, there's Fitbits, there's all these different ways. If you have a smartphone, you could probably just have it in your bed somewhere and it can see how much you're moving around. I know that was technology that was available a very long time ago, but you cannot really change and improve upon what you do not measure. So if you do not know how you're sleeping, you can say like, oh, I think I slept 8 hours last night, and I got to bed at midnight and I woke up at 8 a.m., but you probably aren't falling right asleep. And again, within that sleep that we're going in and out of stages. So if we really want to improve that, we should track it. The other behavior is
a simple one.
Simple one is find a consistent bedtime and wake up time. You can set that. And I would encourage, if you're going to change, the only one thing is the wake up time is going to set your whole day. So people fail most often with these kind of changes when they try to do too much. Like, all right, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm going to get my workout in. I'm going to get my breakfast set. I'm going to do this. I'm going to read. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do all stuff. Don't try to do too much, but try to start getting in the habit of waking up at the same exact time every day. Obviously, schedules change, things like that. But as best you can, even on the weekend, you want to sleep in. We got to prioritize sleep. But at the same time, if we can find that rhythm through the week that's going to allow us to recover and have that rhythm, that circadian rhythm, all sorts of fun science there. But that's the behavior that I'm going to encourage you guys for. Number 3 is find a consistent time to go to sleep. If you can track it, that's a bonus.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to really say, if your tracking's too much for you, just go to bed at a regular time. Listen, it's important. You need to get your sleep. All right, you part of recovery. Get it. Number 4, food.
Food.
You need at least 800 grams of fruits and vegetables. Dr. Bo.
Yeah, it's not that you should eat at least 800 grams. But this comes from a study, and I'm going to shout out E.C. Sinkowski, Eva Claire, I believe is what that stands for. So she's at Optimize Me Nutrition, has a fantastic podcast, used to work with CrossFit. That's the pathway in which I got introduced to her. But she's out here getting people to change the 800 grams of fruits and vegetables. If you don't want to get a food scale, again, the really simple concept is, start with, again, tracking the concept, just like sleep. See how much fruits and vegetables you are eating through the day. And we could probably do more. You're going to notice all of these behaviors so far. We need to drink more water. We need to move more. We need to sleep more, probably. We need to have more fruits and vegetables, more of the good foods. So how do we say 800 grams of fruits and vegetables? That's, again, in weight. You can get a food scale. The other easy way to think about that is, and I should have had a little I don't have anything within reach, but a fistful. So like an apple, if it fits in my hand, it's about the size of my fist, then I need 6 of those a day. You can just do 6 apples a day. It's a little boring. I would not recommend. I prefer variety, but that's the really easy way to track that or think about it. Again, a little bit of complexity, but that 800 grams of fruits and vegetables a day is coming from, and she did a TED Talk about it. We should have a link somewhere for that as well. But it's coming from a research study that showed when people did that behavior and no other behavior, they live longer, they live better. Go figure, because you're starting to control how hungry you are. So you're going to have less junk food, less binge eating, all these other things that we see happen negatively. So that's the behavior. Just increase your fruits and vegetables. 800 grams is an excellent way to do that. A lot of gyms, and this is what EC sells, as 800 gram challenge. So you could do the 800 gram challenge. It's pretty straightforward, but you literally just track every day how many fruits and vegetables you're having. If you don't get the number, that's okay. You're, as long as you're moving in that direction. So that's all I'm going to say on that.
So let's recap right now. So right now we have number 1. Number 1 is drink more water. Number 2 is exercise or move more. There you go. Keep drinking, baby. Number 3 is prioritize your sleep. Number 4 is food. And number 5, something we do every single day. Some of us not as well as others, but it's breathing.
And I'm going to put you on the spot, my friend. Do you know how many breaths we take a day? I feel like I've thrown this out here on a previous podcast, but I'm going to put you on that spot.
No.
So, that's okay. On average, and I have to sit down and do the math on this. On average, we're going to take 16 breaths a day, per minute. Sorry, 16 breaths per minute. 16 breaths per minute. You multiply that by 60 minutes in an hour and 24 hours in a day. So the math comes out to about 23,000 breaths a day. Some people might breathe slower. And if you're doing some of these meditative practices or that kind of thing, you might be breathing a little less. Some of us, when we do exercise, we increase our respiratory rate. But at the end of the day, if you're doing something 23,000 times a day, maybe we want to get a little better at it. I would say well over 97% of people that I have worked with and assessed, and I'm in the clinic now, I'm seeing patients, I'm seeing a lot of humans, and a majority of them, especially if they have shoulder things going on, neck things going on, low back, any kind of hip stuff going on. All of this, to me, relates to, are you able to even access your ability to engage your belly breathing muscles, which is the primary muscle of breathing, diaphragm. I could geek out on this all day. I teach a course for a company called Stasis on this. If you guys are interested in taking that, we should have links. And again, we got to get better at links. But point is, here's our activity for the day. All I'm asking for to start is bringing a little attention, and we can do this right now. So if you're not driving, if you have your hands free, put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, take a few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And I could see, even if you're watching, Corona has a little bit of that chest movement going on. So he's breathing wrong. So we're going to get him breathing better by the next episode. And again, wrong is a very judgmental and strong word. But the point is, if we can access our belly breathing, to me, that improves our whole nervous system. Most people are stressed out. If you have any stress in your life, David, would you say you have some stress in your life?
I always have stress in my life.
So if we can get you to go from when you're breathing up in your chest, and if anybody was watching the video and you could see Corona's kind of respiratory, the backup, those are tertiary and secondary backup muscles of breathing. When those are breathing and they're engaging, that's actually keeping you in fight or flight. And again, a lot of these people that I assess are staying in that central nervous system, constant stress, constant fight or flight. Your brain doesn't know how to rest and digest, which when you can breathe into your belly, I'm gonna do it again here. Look pregnant. Doesn't look great on the, there we go, pregnant.
Sexy, bro.
Thank you. So when you breathe into your belly, for those listening on the audio, won't get the full effect of that one. But when you can breathe into your belly, that's really the key to me to all sorts of low-hanging fruit. Again, I can't tell you how many people I virtually assess for back pain. They're sitting a lot. I say, hey, look at this. You're breathing wrong. Let's get you to breathe a little deeper in the belly for the next few days. They come back. All my back pain's gone. Oh my God. There might be more that we have to do, but I'm going to come back to what is our task, our takeaway, the number 5 thing. This is the 5th thing that we can do today. I'm asking for 3 minutes of breathing. Just put a 3-minute timer on and start box breathing. So depending on how fit you feel and how good you feel about your breath control, start with 3 seconds. So we're going to do it now. I'm going to count it out. David's going to do it. Do you like being David? I feel weird calling
Whatever you want, man. Whatever you want.
So box breathing, very simple from the Navy SEALs. You're doing 3 seconds in, 3 second hold, 3 seconds out, 3 second hold. We can make that 4, 4, 4, 4, or go into 5s, et cetera, et cetera. So there's triangle breathing where you don't do one of the holds. At the end of the day, if you can just start bringing attention to your breathing and control. So let's try one cycle here with David. So you're going to breathe in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, and then we would repeat that cycle. I don't want to spend the whole time, but we could literally spend the next couple of minutes, 3 minutes. We probably should, but I want to get through things, and we got things to do, and I got babies to feed and all that kind of stuff. So any other thoughts on breathing before we move on, my friend?
No, just something you brought up. I thought that was very, very well put. That the gateway to meditation is breathing. And listen, man, it sounds so simple. Just like a lot of these concepts sound so simple. They don't get executed regularly. You don't get better at them, and they improve your lives. This number 6 touches my heart. Listen, man, this whole pandemic, we really, really haven't been connecting as people. But I think we really, really, truly have to start getting back to being with people in person and seeing each other or contact or making a call, because I think we've lost the connectiveness of one another. And I think that is part of mental health, being able to connect and know your neighbors. And Bo knows that I know everybody on my floor and everybody within my building. And I think it's vitally, vitally important. Your thoughts, Bo?
Yeah, a crazy statistic came out that really stood out to me during the pandemic, that for every day of loneliness that folks suffered and dealt with, especially during the pandemic where there was a lot more isolation, that was the equivalent physiologically. And again, what are we talking about here? How to improve your body, how to improve our lives, live longer, live better. Every day of loneliness equated to 1 pack of cigarettes smoking. So again, we all know that smoking a pack of cigarettes has a very negative physiological effect on us. So connection is a pretty powerful thing. Loneliness is a very negative thing. And we all tend to get caught up, and there's this unfortunate social media. We could talk about The Social Dilemma, interesting documentary that was on Netflix and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's this superficiality to social media where you feel like you're connecting, but you're not truly able to connect. And I want to tell the story. This is the reason we reconnected. I knew Corona from a football league that we played on Randall's Island in New York City. Brother Jimmy's barbecue team. Woo! It was fun times. I miss it. I wish I could be playing some football right now. I definitely miss my foosballs. But we hadn't talked in a while. And if you guys if you've seen him and if you've been listening to the show, he's a weird dude. He's it's like, what's up? What's going on with this Cubano friend? Anyway, but I was driving with my wife, Maha, in Southern California, and I don't know what brought it on, but I was like, let me just call this guy, or I texted you, and you decided to call me. I don't remember the exact actual mechanism, but at the end of the day, we just got on a call and we like reconnected like we had never lost any time. And that is our action number 6. We are, again, we're asking you guys to do something. So do it today. Pause the podcast right now. Be like, hey, I was listening to this Demand Better podcast. So you should check it out. Go download it right now. Subscribe, save, do all the things. But the action request here is to just connect with one person that you haven't connected with, let's say in over a year. That would be my ideal. But if you need to, again, make it manageable, make it sustainable, make it something realistic. So if you're, again, Corona knows everyone in his building, that kind of thing, go and knock on a neighbor's door and just say, hey, like, I've never actually introduced myself. I'm Bo. Here's my wife, here's my baby, here's my dog, whatever. But yeah, we live right next to each other. Or again, go through your phone, someone that you might just share memes with or whatever. Again, all those things that we do in this modern day, versus saying, hey, let's go grab a coffee or let's jump on a call. Like, I literally would call people, especially now I'm commuting a little bit more than I usually do. So I'm in the car and I'm like, hey, what's up with my buddy Juan? I haven't talked to him in a while. Let me give him a call. Leave him a voicemail like, yeah, sorry, I'm doing this weird thing where I actually call you. At this point, we think of the phone call, we see a phone call from somebody, either something's gone terribly wrong or there's hopefully some good news that we want to share, or it's spam at this point, right? If it's a number you don't recognize, you probably don't even pick it up. So anyway, the action step is call, email, write a letter, do whatever you want to do. Just try to connect, but that power of connecting, try to rekindle that human interaction. And there's introverts, there's extroverts, there's all these different aspects that we could think about this, but that is our call to you, that we think it's a huge behavior to help you improve your long-term health.
I just want to throw this out there. I have a friend named Tiffany, and I get these little notes every month, sometimes twice a week, so like this, Bo. And this one says to me, a friend is someone who reaches for your hand and touches your heart. She sends me stuff every week. If she's going into Syracuse or something to see my mom, she'll pop in to see my mother. But I haven't seen Tiffany in approximately 15, 20 years. And due to the pandemic, we now connect on a regular basis because the little notes like this are all over my
That's
desk.
amazing.
So,
and that's the good thing. I'll say, all the negatives of social media, it does give us access to it. And again, I'd like to think that there are easier channels to connect, and these old school channels as well of again, writing a handwritten note is something really powerful that, again, you just got to find the time to do, just got to make it a behavior. And that's what we're challenging you to do. I would say do one a week, maybe even one a month, whatever's manageable, but at least please pause this right now. Again, if you're still listening, and go just text someone, make a date, do whatever you got to do, connect with someone. Yeah.
It's
so
important.
moving
That's
on.
good. Okay, we'll keep it going.
Keep it going.
Number 7.
Ooh,
Better shoes.
better shoes. So it ties into our challenge for moving better. And I'm going to put up correcttoes.com.
I can't have a heel like this big, and my foot should fall into like a pillow where. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So whatever disclosure this needs to be is, I've actually developed a relationship with Vivo Barefoot, is a barefoot shoe company, minimalist shoes. Again, I've been in the CrossFit space for a long time. David and I have talked about that. We have our episode in season 1 about CrossFit. But one of the things I think they did right, and the whole concept is the concept of moving more naturally. There's the CrossFit shoes, which I always tell people is a good transition shoe to get to full barefoot minimalist shoes, which I think are much more important to spread the toes out. And the easy analogy I always make here is, again, we have our fingers in our hands and we have to do these fine motor skills with that. And again, having a 7-month-old baby, we were just pointing out that, like, he can grab like your face with his foot the same way his hands do. And we lose that ability because, as David jokingly said, like, yeah, if you're putting me in this big mitten and this big cushiony thing, I'm going to lose ability to do anything with that. And these muscles our bodies adapt really well. So they shut down. They're like, oh, you don't need me except to do this. So you don't need me to like do all these fine motor skills and be able to grab a pen and like write, and you don't need that. So I'm just going to lose that ability because I got to conserve my energy. So bottom line is better shoes are very important. Most shoe stores are going to sell you on, you know, arch control and motion control and all these other things and say, oh, you have flat feet. You know, we got to do the thing to support it in orthotics. And it's a more difficult conversation than the simplicity of what we're saying here. But the goal should be to be able to walk barefoot. If you have plantar fasciitis, if you have all these other issues upstream that happen from shoes, again, as an orthopedic specialist, physical therapist, I see this all the time. I see people now, the big trend is Hoka shoes, very, very cushiony shoes. There's the ultra ones with like, they look like you're walking on like a pillow. And again, people say they're super comfortable. What was the other one? You knew the brand, the ON?
On clouds. OC.
On clouds, yeah. And it feels like you're walking on clouds. That's their whole sales pitch. And again, I don't want to take away from the concept of, yeah, it's comfortable to sit in a lazy boy, or it's comfortable to, you know, that's what Corona was talking about, is like, there's the comfort. And I can't say it's wrong to want to feel comfortable when your shoes, especially if you have pain in your feet. But if you're never putting together a long-term plan and saying, where am I going to be 10 years from now if I just keep wearing more cushiony shoes, you're shutting down those muscles. You're going to have more orthopedic issues down the line. And I'm just seeing, the other one is the Crocs. I see all the kids especially wearing Crocs. I think that, you know, again, it's not the end of the world, but these are things I think we're going to see down the line be very problematic. And cause knee issues, hip issues, spine issues, low back pain.
We see it already.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
I mean, we're seeing it already now in other parts of the body where people are sitting too much, where people are comfortable. The more and more, the less we do, the less we lose these functions. That means as we get older, and I deal with an older population also, as we get older, we lose that function, and we're going to have to reintroduce those functions. So get into the habit of doing these things now, especially with your feet. You might not think about it, because I had a 90-year-old tell me, I never had to think about walking. Right. You didn't. Now you're a shuffler.
Or breathing.
Yeah, 100%. Why can't I breathe? You can't breathe because you haven't breathed. You don't breathe right. And we all do it, me included.
Right.
But we're just here to get value out to you guys. Listen, none of this stuff costs you anything. The shoes are going to cost you something.
I was going to say.
But for the most part, practicing breathing and prioritizing sleep and all the other stuff, that stuff's free. And then you just got to find time and prioritize you so that you don't have to be in the doctor's office talking about something that could have been corrected before. Just an FYI. Number 8.
Only thing I'm going to add, and Lexi's barking in the back about the shoes. The behavior that, again, the action step is to try to at least take a look at the website. And again, I have no affiliation with correcttoes.com, but they have a shoe guide. They talk about good transition shoes. That's a conversation I feel I have to have multiple times a week with different folks of all ages, especially as folks get above 50. I think that's when they're more open to that conversation and start to understand that. But that, at the same time, they're also like, it sounds too difficult and like, I don't really care enough. But point is, my action request, since we're going off of that theme, is at least take a look at the website. Start to do more time barefoot. If you're doing the 10 minutes of walking a day, maybe you have that pair of shoes that you can start to break in. So theoretically, if you're doing that 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day, you're adding in 20 to 30 minutes of walking with a more minimalist shoe. That's going to strengthen your feet. And there's just tons of benefits to that. And the only other caveat I'm going to throw in here, because I don't think it's going to fit anywhere else, and I wanted to have it on my note, and I missed it on our move more, right? Number 3.
Yes, sir.
Number 2. Number 2 was move more. When we were originally planning for this episode, Corona mentioned the fact of having a better desk. So I'm going to put it here with the footwear of it ties into moving more, and having a better desk is something I voted to leave out of our top 10 here because it can be a big to do. Even setting up your desk is going to be a whole thing, and it's not really the most actionable step, but there are ways we can talk about ergonomics, but it still ties into me. You can have the worst setup in the world of a desk. It all comes down to how often are you getting up to pee? Just like being in an airplane. I always say, like, I get up to pee. If I'm on a 3-hour flight, I might pee 5 times because I'm chugging as much water as I can to stay hydrated, to keep me moving. And it's going to help my recovery. So I understand the physiology of that. Same thing with the desk is set an alarm every 30 minutes so you can keep moving. So I wanted to throw that honorable mention thing. I wanted to fit it somewhere in here. So I hope you're all right with that, David.
I'm not. I'm really not. But I'm going to keep it moving. Thanks for the action step because I did forget to put that in there. But we're going back. So now I did this with my mother. Hey, put it down. Well, I did this with my mother when I went back to help her out with the house. And you got to donate or throw out certain foods in your cupboard. We'll start with canola oil, and then we'll go high fructose corn syrup. And what else do you want to add in there, Bo?
You threw out adobo. I don't know what the.
I did throw out adobo. We're gonna erase that because I pulled it off. But if you know,
I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it with those two because again, we want to make it more actionable, simpler. So canola oil and high fructose corn syrup are two of the biggest things that I personally avoid. Under canola oil, there's all the other seed oils that are probably problematic. Soybean oil, all these other kind of things that the research is interesting. The research is going to take a while to show like, oh, this decreases your life by ingesting X amount. You're going to be more likely to have heart disease and all these other things that we see, chronic diseases. And we talk about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Dr. Peter Attia has a new book out called Outlive, which I wanted to shout out. And I'll throw this out. I want to make sure I get these right. And again, I'm going to put you on the spot again. We're talking about behaviors that can help improve our lives. Do you know the 4 ways that we are most likely to die? The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse? Not including accidents and that kind of thing in terms of health, controllable behaviors that we can.
Are guns on there first?
No. So I'm saying not including that kind of thing.
Okay. Cancer?
So cancer is absolutely one, unfortunately. And Dr. Attia talks about the fact that we all have some version of cancer. It's a question of will avoiding cancer increase our life, and how do we, again, keep it at bay, and all that kind of stuff. And that's going to tie into our next one, number 9. We're not going to jump ahead yet. So cancer is one. Cancer is one. So heart disease, the fancy term for that includes all the things is atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, ASCVD. And there's a tech at the clinic I'm at right now. I asked him to figure out what ASCVD is. He makes it like a brain puzzle thing. He hasn't gotten the AS. He got the CVD, so I was impressed by that. So those are 2.
Obesity.
So yeah, metabolic, just he puts that in the category of metabolic derangement, or just all the things that fall under that: diabetes, obesity, all those things that are going to shorten our lifespan.
The 4th one's
it's not good radio when you think too long. Yeah. It's cognitive decline, so Alzheimer's, that kind of thing. And again, some people tie that into the metabolic issues. Some people call Alzheimer's diabetes type 3, for anyone familiar. And we can go into the physiology and all that fun stuff around that. But at the end of the day, so those are the four horsemen of the apocalypse. I thought it was important to bring that up. Coming back to food, removing toxins, and toxins are all sorts of things. There's black mold. There's some people argue that, the Wi-Fi signals, EMF, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. You're living in New York City, you're exposed to all sorts of toxins all the time. Is living out in nature a million times better? Probably. But yeah, again, how much actual life extension are we getting out of that? I don't know. But yeah, spending time in nature has been shown to improve life expectancy and that kind of thing. And again, does it mean we need to have a little bit of it? Are you able to cleanse? That's the other thing too. Our bodies are very good at cleansing a lot of this stuff. But at the end of the day, I personally avoid, if I see canola oil, and I'll share this last bit before we move on, is honey nut checks. Honey nut checks. It was gluten-free, and I found it. And I was like very excited because I like to go gluten-free for other various reasons. But I found honey nut checks, and I honestly did not even look at the label for a long time because I was just like, this is delicious. I like this cereal. I will eat this all day. And then at some point, I looked at the ingredient list, and it had canola oil in it. And I'm like, why? And rice checks, and there's rice checks, and there's what's the other one? There's another type of checks that is gluten-free that does not. They're just the really simple like rice checks, and I can't think of corn checks. Those are the two, rice and corn checks. They're fine. They don't have canola oil, so I will include them as my like whatever I need. I want some cereal. I'll put some berries in there, and have a little bit of and I'll only do almond milk or coconut milk. Again, trying to minimize my toxins. But that was the whole theme: is go into your fridge, go into your cabinets. Feel free to donate it to a food bank for those less fortunate than you, so you're not wasting the food. But at the same time, we could argue that that's decreasing the health of the person ingesting it. But again, all theoretical. But for your own sake, I think it's strong enough. I personally avoid canola oil and high fructose corn syrup. Those are the two we are asking you to cut out today, because I think every time you put any version of that into your body, you're making your health less good in the long term.
Well, that brings that rolls us into the number 9, which is go get screened. We're gonna do for the bonus for the ladies is find a pelvic health specialist, which a lot of people don't even know what that is. But I'm gonna let you give them a little bit more of an explanation of what that is.
Yeah, and again, as a feminist, or whatever we want to call it, I do find it's very important, and it's something when I learned about it back in physical therapy school, I found it fascinating that most women, and I had never heard of it before either, that again, these are major muscles. This is involved with a lot of our life. It includes sex. My wife's a sex and relationship therapist. It's taboo. We just said the word. Now we're explicit, I guess. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just going to put this up on the screen here. Get screened on the screen. And so, yeah, pelvic health PT, it's like saying, and again, dentists say, go get your teeth checked twice a year, right? And a little bit, we could argue, maybe you don't need to go twice a year, but we could argue that it's a good marketing tool. They did a great job with it. People kind of know that they're supposed to go to the dentist twice a year and see how much plaque you got, and you got a cavity here, and you want to see that. You go get your oil changed, maybe every 6,000 miles, or you get your car checked. I know I do. You're supposed to. Same thing for our bodies. We don't do that enough. We start to get screened maybe when we're 40 years old. We get there's all the ages, prostate exam for men, cancer screenings we just talked about in the last point. All these things where we want to catch these things early, it's going to improve our survival rate. It's going to increase our longevity. So there are ways we can start tracking this stuff. Again, this can take us in all sorts of different directions of conversation. I am 39 years old. I'm going to be 40 this year. My father died of a heart attack at 41. There was a lot of other variables and factors involved. We were just moving to America. It's very stressful. He ended up drinking a lot and smoking a lot. The two behaviors that, again, we could talk about how negative that is for our health. But at the end of the day, as a man who had a father die of a heart attack at 41, I am at great risk from the medical system's perspective, which I'm not saying is wrong. But yeah, so I'm going to make sure I get screened. So I'm making sure to get my heart checked. I've done a number of tests recently, especially having had health insurance makes it a lot easier. But getting your calcium score for your heart, checking your cholesterol and having that conversation. And the cholesterol conversation is one where, again, we could do multiple episodes of this show where we can demand better from understanding cholesterol. And it's all sorts of debate. Is LDL really that bad? And what number, do we need to start taking action on? All these kind of things. So, but same as we talked about tracking your sleep, tracking how much water you're drinking, tracking how many fruits and vegetables you're having. If you're not getting screened, we have some good screens for telling us, hey, your cholesterol is in a weird number. Maybe we should track that and see what's going on. We talked about this, and I think you and I are vocal advocates of healthy at any weight is not a real thing. Like, it's a thing, and we're not trying to shame anyone about it. But when we look at the physiology, we are asking that this is a really scary movement where we understand the humanity of it, but the physiology says you cannot be healthy when you're 100 pounds overweight. There is disease happening. We want you to feel good in your body, but at the same time, if we're not having the conversation about, hey, your heart, your vessels are just like clogging up and they're going to stop working, you're at a huge risk of heart disease or a heart attack. If we don't have that conversation, we can't have a real conversation about that. that's problematic. So without going too far down that rabbit hole and getting canceled or whatever these days, I'm going to leave it there about getting screened. Again, the action step is wherever you are, talk to your primary care physician, go get a physical therapist to screen your movement patterns. So how well can you, move your shoulder? How well can you move your hips? How well can you breathe? All these things. So have somebody, this is one of the best returns on investment I think you're going to make. Again, most of us don't even know because we don't do a good job of pushing prevention. Prevention is not sexy, does not sell, but the old saying, the old adage goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So get screened by a specialist in whatever area there is. There's a lot to the body. Just like, again, I'll say it again, your dentist checks your teeth, pelvic health floor specialist can check everything going on down there. And men and women, by the way, have pelvic floors. So stuff that can happen down there. Again, my wife deals with this from the psychological perspective, but there's physical stuff going on. If you have premature ejaculation, we already got flagged again. If you have erectile dysfunction, all these things, you can take a pill to deal with that, or you can get to the root of what's going on and why are there these issues ever popping up, and avoiding those issues is probably something we should put a little bit of investment into. Anyway, I'm going to stop my rant there because I can keep going.
No, but I'm just going to just kind of add to it because I dealing with people in the fitness, on the fitness floor and stuff like that, and they come to you with injuries. A lot of times, I went to go see a doctor. Doctor's job 9 times 10 is to cut. I could find anything. You can find, slight tears in somebody's shoulder. Get tested, man. Seriously, get tested and find out where you're at. And if you're injured, go see a therapist before you go see a doctor. Sometimes it might be a better call. Final number 10.
Better Call Saul. Just finished that. Excellent show. Go ahead. Number 10.
My other favorite thing is you should be able to play. And play, that means get up and off the floor. As we get older, you shouldn't be losing function of not being able to get off the floor. It bothers me tremendously when I see seniors losing function. And the reason I'm losing function is because my mother says to me all the time, I'm just old. I just can't do that. Can you just pick that up for me? And it's like, no, you need to do that for your own health and for your longevity.
Yeah, he yells at his mom. He says, go get your own water, woman.
That's right, man. You got darn right.
I heard him say women should be seen and not heard.
Never said that ever in my life because I get smacked. And your lovely wife would smack you.
She heard that. She's over there somewhere.
So, no, listen, you go into these indigenous populations and you see people, we were talking about, what is the toilet? The squatty potty.
Squatty potty, yes.
The squatty potty where they sit like that and that's the way they do their business.
I'll put a link for that in the show notes as well on Amazon, and my affiliate link. I'll get 17 cents out of that one. Go ahead.
Good. Just keep making your money because that's all I do. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
You should be able to move, man. I don't care what age you should be able to move. And if you're not able to move, maybe your joints aren't ready to move because they haven't moved that way in many, many years and they've lost the function. There's ways to get mobility back, and there you go, Bo. And you have to, it goes back to what we've been talking about. You have to prioritize it in your life so that you don't lose the function or the functionality of your body. And let me tell you something. My mother has full functionality of her body, her mind not so much. And the loose function of your body is horrendous. Is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, and one of my favorite adages about this concept of play is, do we stop playing because we get older, or do we get older because we stop playing? And you can apply other things in there. Same as dancing, jumping, and there's some other cool adages that, we're only as healthy as our spine or our joints are. So yeah, right now I showed that I'm in that kind of squatty potty position. I'm in that third world squat. Some people call it Chinese squat. You see a lot of cultures that hang out down there, and the observational epidemiological, it's a fun word to say, but looking at things and trying to draw correlations and see if things connect. At the end of the day, folks in China, India, a lot of, again, the Middle East, all that kind of stuff, they hang out down here in this this squat, full depth squat, again, where I jokingly say you can pee in the woods for ladies, or poop in the woods or whatever. But that's full range of motion of your knee, your ankle, your hip, your low back. And again, like I was saying, I'm back in the clinic now, and I'm seeing a lot of different folks. I have a 15-year-old girl who has plantar fasciitis, and I said, hey, and she's doing strength and conditioning class. She's just told me, oh, we just did some max outs on our back squat. I was like, okay, show me your air squat. And she could not get more than like 30 degrees down. And I'm like, how did you do that with 95 pounds? And what does that look like? And how much more damage is that doing? And again, for plantar fasciitis, IT band syndrome, two of the most common kind of conditions we see, I think a lot of that just comes down to not moving through a full range of motion. It's like kind of saying, hey, my nice demand better shirt here, jersey. And it's just like, hey, this is just staying stiff. And I'm never, ever, ever stretching it out and letting it breathe. That comes back to the shoes. That comes back to moving more. So anyway, play. And another thing, I'll conclude with this is this is a study that gets thrown out a lot. That is, and we got to give our action step before I forget. But the study that gets thrown out a lot was a Brazilian study. It was over, I believe, 9 or 10 years. I think it had 10,000 something people in it. And they looked at how well they could get up and down off the floor. For every time you had to put your hand on the table or whatever, or put your hand on your knee to get up, every other piece, and you had to put your knee down to get up, the more you struggle to get up or down off the floor, there was a direct correlation. You would lose a point basically for every time your hand had to touch something rather than just go up and come down. Just kind of the right way to do it is crisscross applesauce. You put your feet together and you kind of squat, almost stand up, sit down that way. It's not the easiest thing in the world. A lot of people started taking this challenge up recently on social media. Built to Move is a book that just came out with Kelly Starrett and his wife, Juliet Starrett. They co-authored a phenomenal book, phenomenal tool, kind of inspired this 10 behaviors. I'm not going to lie, so I'll give them the hat tip credit there. But that study basically showed for every time you had to touch something to get up and down, the worse you were at getting up and down off the ground. Over 9 years, they found pretty good correlation, statistically significant, as we say in the research, that you were more likely to die and have less quality of life. So bottom line is, I'm going to finish off on our action step for playing is do 10 burpees. Nobody likes burpees, and CrossFit made them like this thing also. And if you've ever done a fitness class, and the burpee to me is get your chest down on the ground and get back up. So, or just get down on the ground, sit your tush on the ground and get back up. Again, the Starrettes talk about when they're watching TV, they get down on the floor. They're not sitting on their couch. They have a couch, but they're getting down on the floor one way or another. They might be down on their belly, doing kind of a cobra pose or whatever you want to call that, Sphinx pose. I like saying that one. But yeah, just spend 10 minutes on the floor somehow, some way, get up and down off the floor 10 times. Again, whatever your capacity is. If you're a CrossFit athlete and you did 1,000 burpees once, because you got a t-shirt for it like I did, in 96 minutes was my statistic. Did that up at CrossFit Harlem back when that was a thing. My buddy Sincere, that was his challenge. 1,000 burpees for time. Kind of silly, but I did it. And anyway, have the shirt to prove it. So we'll finish off on that is get up and down off the floor. We got our 10 habits. Any other closing thoughts, my friend?
No, this goes back to a lot of stuff that we talked in season 1, which is this has got to be intentional. You got to make the efforts to improve it. It's improvable. You can get better. I'm telling you right now, just by drinking more water, you're going to feel better. Each one of these things will help you. To know them is great. To practice them will give you results, and you'll feel better on a daily basis. This isn't just like some, we just put some 10 things. These are 10 things that you can do that are going to actually improve your life. And that's what the Demand Better podcast is all about in the end. It's trying to help you find avenues to improve your life and make your life better, and for you to demand better from the things that you buy and the things that you do, so that you can get the maximum out of it. It's all about, as my friend Bo says all the time, it's all about value. You want value.
Yes, sir.
So let's go over them again. Number 1, drink more water. Number 2, exercise and move more at all ages. Number 3, prioritize your sleep. Number 4, food. Eat 800 grams of fruits and vegetables. Number 5, breathing. Ooh. Number 6, start connecting with people. And Got you, bro. Man. Number 7, better shoes. 8, donate or throw out the following foods: canola oil, high corn fructose. Need new socks. Talk to your wife about that. Number 9, go get screened. And 10, play. You have anything to close out, to put a ribbon on this before I give us a closeout?
No, and again, our demand better concept. So yes, I said no, but I meant yes. Our demand better concept, and I don't even remember if we did. It feels like so long ago, and having a kid makes your brain work differently. Is demanding better from yourself. I don't think we did that episode. We talked about doing that, but that's what this is. This is demand better from yourself, demand better from us. If you guys have other habits that you're like, you know what, this is what I did and it changed my whole health, I would love to hear it. So we always say we want this to be a conversation, not just between him and I, but between us all. And we're demanding better, hopefully from ourselves. I'm always trying to be the change I want to see in the world. And I'm trying to, Gandhi's quote, if anyone didn't get that reference. But I don't even know if he said it. I think that was falsely attributed to him, kind of like Abraham Lincoln always gets quotes attributed to him. Anyway, the point is, we hope that this stuff brings you value. We don't expect you to do all 10 things today, but I think the more, again, even if you take one, start there. I think habit change is one of the biggest things that I've studied a ton since working with humans. That's been my whole life's work. So again, demand better from yourself, demand better from us. Talk to us and see if, again, these make sense. Maybe you try one of these things and you're like, yeah, it didn't really change. Again, there's more complexity. If you want to see a whole episode about sleep tracking or whatever, we will gladly do that. So we're going to try to actually probably expand on all these. The shoes, I do have someone from Vivo Barefoot. Again, like I said, I work with, I'm an affiliate with them. I do think we'll be talking to someone with from there on one of our episodes. If not on this podcast, on my other podcast, Bo Knows Health. Going to shout that out. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I am thrilled we did this. I'm glad we're back on track. I'm excited to record more. Hopefully, we're coordinating with a few of Corona's buddies to get everything lined up. Yeah, I'm excited, man. This is going to be a fun episode, fun season. I hope folks get a lot of value out of this, and we hope to hear, this is free. Again, ways to change your life, and again, really easy stuff to do. So we want to make it as easy as possible. And at this point, the only excuse is a no good excuse. There is no excuse.
Listen, one more time, we're going to say it again. We're not trying. We are going to be your consumer's guide in the health and fitness space for you to get the value that you so justly deserve.
Justifully?
Justifully. I don't even know.
I don't even know what you were going for.
I don't even know what I was saying. So, but you totally deserve. Sorry about that, guys. Welcome back. We're back. No, we're not going to be ghosting.
We're going to shake the rust off. We're going to shake the rust off.
And by the way, we thank you so much for taking time with us to be with us today. If you like the show, you can help us by writing a review or share, or subscribe to the Demand Better podcast. One more time, we are sponsored by Fit Care Physiotherapy and Wellness, where the idea is to focus on your fitness and so you can avoid the healthcare space.
I want to finish off by saying Maha was listening. She walked in. She came back from picking up a gluten-free pie we got from a small business nearby. And so she heard me talking when we were talking about number 2 and walking 10 minutes. So she just took the baby out, she texted me. She said, hey, I'm actually going to go for a walk. I just want to let you know. So that's behavior number 2 she just did. And then we're going to meet our neighbors or hang out with our neighbors with the pie. They're making us an Indian feast. That's their whole thing. They do Indian food. So they are Indian. So we're going to connect. So that's number 6. We connected here. And again, which behavior are you going to go do today, David Corona?
Well, I'm going to be connecting with people because my friend Angela is in town from Miami. So I'll be connecting with her. I'm sure I'll be drinking more water. I try to prioritize sleep all the time. And maybe I'll get a new pair of sneakers and shoes and some more, Verbo shoes. Is that what it is? Verbo?
Vivo Barefoot.
Verbo's some other company.
VRBO is the alternative to Airbnb, I believe, that you're thinking.
Well, we don't want that. Vivo.
No, Vivo Barefoot. Anyway,
so
we'll talk more about that.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll knock the rust off. Have a great one. Enjoy your weekend. Be well. Bye.
Welcome.